All right. I'm just setting up. About to go. Wonderful. All set up here. Set up. Good morning to everybody that is joining or listening to this from wherever you are. Happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday. Jambo, jambo, jambo. To those of you that speak Swahili, jambo. Our topic today is the hidden cost of cultural disconnection in your workplace. The hidden cost of cultural disconnection in your workplace. Most leaders are measuring the wrong thing, and what they are not measuring is costing them more than anything on their reports. That's our thesis for today. Most leaders are measuring the wrong thing, and what they are not measuring is costing them more than anything on their reports. We will start with the Gallup poll here, a Gallup report. So Gallup tracks employee engagement across more than 140 countries. Their 2026 report found that only 20% of employees worldwide are engaged at work. 64% are present but disconnected. 16% are actively working against what their engaged colleagues are trying to build. At least that's the takeaway for me, how I analyze this takeaway. That is 80% of the global workforce operating below what they are capable of. The Gallup poll estimates that disconnect costs the world economy $10 trillion in loss of productivity every year. $10 million in loss of productivity every year. Yeah, when I read that number, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. I knew that disconnection at work could be a problem, but I did not realize how heavy the financial cost of disconnection at work really is. In my field, I generally settle around cultural disconnection. So every environment have their own culture. So looking at cultural disconnection, even though it wasn't really the emphasis of the study by Gallup, it still gave a good ground for understanding the disconnections that happen at work. And again, this was done over 140 countries participated in this, and it shows that $10 trillion are lost in productivity every year because 64% of workers are present, but they are disconnected at work. Sherm studied workplace culture across 19 countries and found that workers in positive organizational cultures are almost 4 times more likely to stay with their current employers. Among employees who rate their culture positively, only 15% are actively looking for a new job. Among those who rate their current culture at work poorly, 57% are actively looking to leave. And over 8 in 10 employees in positive cultures recommend their organization to others. But those in poor cultures, only 4% do. All right, the two statistics that I've listed are from Gallup, the State of Global Workplace 2026 report, You can see it on page 6 and page 17. And for the SHRM report, the state of the state of the global culture in 2024. And you can go on their website and you can read that article. Those who do not come from laziness, so these numbers actually do not come from laziness or poor hiring. So this is not an attack on the employee or the worker. So this is not a laziness or a poor hiring issue. They come from people. These numbers and this frustrations and these statistics come from people who are very capable, who show up, and who slowly stop bringing their full energy because something in the environment told them it was not safe for them to show up with their full capacity, their full energy, their full self. It might have said they are not welcome, or that what they're doing is not worth it, or that they are not even worth it. And in many cases, leadership never saw this problem coming because they were not looking for it. Leadership do not generally go around looking for disconnections at work. They're just like, well, have you done your duties for today? Check, 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 and move on. They're not looking for the disconnections that are causing the people at their workplaces not to be fully engaged, not to be fully participating, not to be fully there at work and performing at their full capacity. Cultural connection is one of the most expensive things happening in organizations right now. And it is rare, and it rarely gets called out, it rarely gets brought to the table. Yes, Gallup has done this analysis and found a general disconnection. But what about the cultural disconnection? What about the disconnections that happen because of the different ways of thinking, because of the different ways of looking at maybe a particular issue in the organization? What about cultural background? Does the person have a different language that they speak? Do they have an accent? Are you tuning me out right now because I have a little accent? And if I was at your workplace, will you be tuning me out because I have an accent? I often tell this story how I was working in a group, and every time I would bring up a suggestion, I felt like I was being dismissed. And it really, I don't know if the group was doing it intentionally. And I did address it. Don't think I let it go. I did address it. But that feeling of not being listened to, or your ideas being dismissed because maybe you have an accent, maybe you're saying something in a way that is different from how most people would say it, maybe some people have biases against who you are, where you're from. All of those little nuances that are at our workplaces that can come between us and the work that we're there to do. So I was telling a story. So I'm in this group, and I keep giving ideas, and I keep feeling that they're dismissing my ideas. And to be very honest, I caught one of them say, just ignore her. Just ignore her. I was not very happy about that. I didn't react. Sometimes I don't like to address things right away. So I sat on the issue. I sat on it. I thought about it. I knew that we had to keep working in a group. There was no way of me leaving this group, abandoning the group, and not doing the work that I was there to do. So what did I do? A few days after, I called the group together and I said, the only thing I ask of you is that you listen fully to the ideas that I bring to the table. Tell me why you don't think it's a good idea. You don't have to take my idea. That doesn't have to be the final thing. That doesn't have to be the final product. That doesn't have to be I don't have to have the final say. But I ask you to listen to my idea. That's all I ask. This is not just a team issue. This is a respect issue. Respect me enough to listen to my idea and then say, well, I don't like this idea for this reason. We're not going to do this for this reason. Instead of whispering to your neighbor, ignore her. So, what are the differences at the workplace that is causing you as an individual not to be productive? What are the communication differences? What are the cultural differences? What are the concerns that you have with dealing or working with other people in the team that are making you less interested in bringing your full self, your energy, your 100% to the job? Your boss might not ever address that. But instead of leaving, now that the statistics shows that at least 57% are actively looking for the next job, if you're one of the 57% that is actively looking for another job because your job culture is not suitable, I want to challenge you to try one thing before you look for another job, because all jobs you have to learn to adapt to the culture. So all jobs, right? So I want you to find that issue. What is that gap? What is that problem? What is it that is causing a barrier between you and the coworkers and between you and um, maybe the work that you're doing? Address that first. Find somebody that you trust and have a conversation. You're not going to go reporting anybody. You're not going to go to start a fight. You're going to find one person that is a safe person in your organization, emotional, that creates an emotionally safe space for you, somebody that you know you can have a conversation with, and they are not going to think that you're trying to create problems. That way you can bounce how you're feeling by them, bounce your thoughts by them, and bounce the issue by them and get feedback. Once you have clear feedback, then go to the person, your boss or whoever, and then clearly address the issue. Again, you're part of a team, and for your team to succeed, you have to be able to work together. And there's always going to be conflict. So you want to be able to address conflict. And you create a safe space for them to listen to you also. So what I did again with the team was we always have our meetings, and I said, look, this is something I want to bring up that is stopping me from really doing the work that I am here to do with all of you. I am hoping that you will listen to what I have to say. I'm not trying to attack you or anything. I'm just bringing up there so we can address it, so I can actually be the best, bring my best to work to the table. And they listened, right? They listened, and I said, all I need is for you to listen to my ideas all the way, like I previously said, and then Tell me why you don't think is a good option. That way I can refine the idea, or I can know how to refine the idea next time. And then from there, go ahead and table your own idea on the table, and we will go from there. I will still support whatever idea 100%. All I wanted to know is that my idea was considered. Moving forward, my ideas at least was listened to. And from then, we eventually finished the project, think well enough, and it was done. But remember, I was in a situation where it was a one time thing. You might find yourself in a situation where it's an ongoing thing. So you're going to have to build that muscle. I am challenging you to start building that muscle of saying, can I address the issue and find a path forward? Do I see a gap? Do I see a disconnection? Can I address this gap without starting a war? Can I address this gap without me feeling like I'm not good enough, or they're not going to listen to me? Or find a way to address the gap that you're facing, the disconnection that is causing you to want to quit that job or want to leave that environment. Sometimes the healthiest thing to do is to leave. Sometimes the healthiest thing to do is not try to fix something that maybe cannot be fixed, and you have no choice but to leave for your own mental health, for your own emotional health. And that might actually be a stepping stone for you to go do something else that you're really good at, work at a team that you're really great at. Not every problem is a problem. Some problems are opportunities. So I'm not here to tell you that you see a gap in your industry or you see a gap in your company, and this gap is causing you not to be the best version of yourself at work. Or if you're a leader and you're seeing a gap and you're not able to close that gap, sometimes it's an opportunity to build something new. And for you who is an employee, sometimes it is an opportunity for you to grow. Sometimes an opportunity to grow out of the organization and into another thing that is going to be bring the best version of who you are to life. You might find a company that you excel at without having to bend so much or change yourself so much in a way that might be detrimental even to your own health, emotionally, physically, mentally. So disconnections, as we have seen in the Gallup poll, is costing $10 trillion in lost productivity at work every year. Oh, hold up. Last year alone, right? That the Gallup was from 2026, and this measurement is measuring 2025. So from 2025, last year. With all of this in mind, how do you stand back and look at your company? Are you saying, how much is my company losing as a manager? I am challenging you again. How much is your company losing because of disconnections at work? And how much of these disconnections are cultural? And what are you doing to bridge these gaps? What are you doing to take this as an opportunity, the gaps that you're seeing, this knowledge that your company is losing so much money in hidden cost, in costs that you are not even thinking to measure? You're measuring everything else and bridging and closing gaps and fixing and making sure that your everything else is working really smoothly so that your company can keep making money, but you're not measuring the disconnection gaps. The Gallup poll measured 140 countries, but they really didn't lean into the cultural gaps. So what are you doing so that your company it's not one of the companies that is losing, that is adding to the $10 billion being lost every year. $10 trillion. Was I saying 10 billion? It says 10 trillion. You can go read the article again. Is the Gallup poll from, and is the State of the Global Workplace 2026 report. Go look at it again. So what I wrote down from that was $10 trillion lost in productivity last year. I don't know what your company's percentage is of this 10 trillion, but I can assure you that your company is definitely being impacted by gaps, cultural disconnections that you are not measuring at your workplace. And what are you going to do about it is the big question. What are you going to do about it? And if you, as an employee, that falls within the 57% of people actively looking to switch jobs because of cultural differences at work or just general disconnections at work, I have already challenged you to address that gap, look at the gap as an opportunity. But is there anything else that I can help you with so that you do not leave that job, especially if you like the job, especially if you enjoy what you do, and just have some disconnections that needs to be addressed so that you can bring your full energy to work and your full self to work? What can I do to help you? Let me know in the comments, inbox me, check the link in the bio, and let me know if there is anything I can do to help you. But I'm hoping that from just what I have said in the last 20 minutes, that there is something there that you can use to start bridging that gap, or to look at that gap as an opportunity to become the best version of yourself at work, or to expand your horizon. My goal for the managers listening to this, my goal is not for people to start leaving your companies. My goal is for you to be able to retain the 57% that is thinking about leaving your company. Turnover is no joke. Onboarding is no joke. Recruiting people to constantly replace people that are leaving because of a cultural difference, a cultural disconnection, a gap or a disconnection at work that might be invisible to you, but that can easily be fixed, will be a shame. So don't hesitate. My goal here is to help you retain the 57%. Again, these numbers are not because you hired the wrong person or your hiring practices are wrong. It's not because the people you hire are lazy, difficult to work with, and all the labels we give. It is an invisible thing, which is very hard to measure, but that has a heavy financial cost. Again, what makes it truly costly is not that it is hard to fix. It is that it is hard to see. By the time it shows up in your data, that it has already been building quietly for months. So the disconnection, by the time you start seeing it in the data, it's already been building for a month. Again, like we said, 10 trillion in 2025 of lost productivity. Your company is part of that. And as a result, you didn't even know these numbers about productivities for a whole year. And again, you will not know what it is costing you for a whole year. And it is my job to tell you not to wait for another year to find out what it is costing you. Figure out these disconnections now so that you don't wait another year and be another part and add to that 10 trillion that is being lost in productivity every year in your company. Not in your company alone. This is done over 140 countries. So I'm saying that you are part of this number. Your company is losing also in productivity. So by the time these numbers show up, it's been months. The people most affected rarely say it out loud. They are just gradually giving less and less until less becomes the norm, right? So there is a disconnection at work, and people are not saying anything about it, which is why I encourage the person that is thinking about leaving to sit with it for a little bit and see if this is a breach that can be, this is a gap that can be bridged. Can this disconnection be fixed? Can we make that, can we reconnect whatever it is that is causing you to not be as productive at work? So think about it, discuss it, find that safe person to discuss it with before you leave, right? And then also remember the manager, remember leader, that the person under you, they might not feel safe to tell you, and then their energy will just start diminishing. What they bring will start diminishing. And they just start giving less and less and less until less becomes a norm. Or they just do the bare minimum, check the boxes and leave. Once that happens, where they're just checking the boxes and leaving, that's where the productivity starts to decrease. And that is why productivity now becomes an issue. And the company lose money because of productivities, because of lower productivities that result from disconnections at work. So let's wrap this up with some points. Point 1, what is actually being lost that never shows up on your report? What is it that is actually being lost that never shows up on your report? Point 2, why organizations keep missing it? Why is it that organizations keep missing this? And point 3 that I will summarize is what it costs to leave it sitting there without fixing it. Now, point 1. Let's go back to point 1 and address each. What is actually being lost that doesn't show up on a report, on your work report, on your value ledger at work, on your accounting ledgers at work? What is it that doesn't show up? The idea someone decided not to share because the room did not feel safe. Remember, I mentioned that I had to call everybody together and say, all I need is for you to listen. If I didn't care about my group and my team, I would not have said anything. I would have zipped my mouth and sat there and never say a word and just do whatever everybody else decided and go from there. I'm not saying that I had the $1 million idea, but what if I did? What if by ignoring that person, you missed out on $1 million idea? Or you miss out on a way that you could have simplified your idea so that it reaches more people. So The idea someone decided not to share because the room did not feel safe is one of the reasons why these things do not show up easily on your report. The initiative that never got taken because past attempts were misread as overstepping. The solution that existed in the room but never surfaced because the person carrying that solution, the person with that solution, had learned just to be quiet. Don't say a thing. Just let them do it. Don't rock the boat. Right? So, all these things, the collaboration that never happened because two people wrote each other off after one misread that they never addressed. And that's why I said, please address it. 57% thinking about leaving your jobs, please address it. Find a safe person and address it. You cannot measure what people would have contributed if they had felt they belong. If that person had felt they belong, what would they have contributed? That you can measure. But you cannot measure what they did not contribute. You cannot know that my idea is a bad idea if you don't even let me share it. You cannot know that that product will not do well if you don't take it and test it. You cannot know that I could be a great coach for you if you don't listen to me. You will not know what is in this video, in this live, in this conversation if you don't listen to the recording. The most expensive output in any organization is the one that never happened. That is what cultural disconnection costs, and it is rare and it rarely appears on your report. Let's say it again. The most expensive output in any organization is the one that never happened. That is what cultural disconnection costs. And it rarely appears on the report. At least not right away. You might get it in a Gallup report at the end of the year. You might get it maybe in 5 years. But I'm here to say, please don't wait to get that report. Don't wait to get that report. Point 2, why organizations keep missing it. Leaders are often trained to measure lagging indicators, turnover, output, revenue, absenteeism. Most are not trained to measure productivity and connections and how connections can lead, disconnections can lead to lower productivity. By the time those numbers move, the damage is already compounding. You would think the damage is already done. No, I'm saying the damage is already compounding. That little comment that you didn't address caused that person to feel a certain way. And that person now is thinking about leaving your company, which means your turnover rate has gone higher. And then now you just lost productivity because now you have to wait to hire another person. And once you hire that person, you have to train that person. And how much money are you losing in doing all of that? How much money? Meanwhile, you could have addressed the disconnection immediately, created a safe space for your employees to address disconnection, created a safe space for your teammates to address disconnections. And then from there, you keep your employee and not have to pay all this money to retrain, rehire, and all of those things that comes with bringing in a new employee. Cultural disconnection show up in how people feel before it shows up in what they produce. And all of that leads to that compounding. So it's not a one-time thing, it's a compounding problem. Cultural disconnection is a compounding problem if not addressed. And you say, what is compounding? All the things that we have mentioned previously. People wanting to leave, 57% wanting to leave, over 40% refusing to, let's see how many percent. Let's be very clear on the percentages. 57% wanting to leave. 8 in 10 employees in positive cultures recommend their organization to others. Poor company, 4% only. Only 4%. In 19 countries, so SHRM studied workplace culture across 19 countries and found that workers in positive organization cultures are almost 4 times more likely to stay in their current with their current employer. 15% are actively looking for a new job. 57% are actively looking to leave. Among those 15% that are actively looking, 57 are actively looking to leave. All of this compound. It's not just a one problem thing, it compounds. Many organizations have a system for tracking connection, have no system for tracking connections. They have system for tracking turnover, output, revenue, absenteeism, but they do not have any for tracking connection, tracking how people work together in the company and belong together, or whatever the people feel is safe to contribute. Like, is it a safe environment? Can they safely contribute to this environment? We don't track those. Most companies don't track those. So the symptoms get treated and the cause sits unaddressed. What is causing it sits unaddressed. We go around treating symptoms. If you are only measuring what has already happened, you will always be responding too late. If you are only measuring what already happened, you will always be responding too late. The cause of cultural disconnection is not in the exit interview. It is in every day, it is in every day that came before it. Don't wait for the exit interviews to find out. This Gallup poll is telling you that there is a problem. Address that problem. Address that problem. Point 3, as we wrap up. Point 3, what it costs to leave it sitting there. This problem, you're just like, it's no big deal. Our numbers are good. We're making profit. But what if you can make more money for your company by addressing this issue? What if productivity in your company could be higher? Do you want to sit on that? Do you want to wait a whole year to find out? Now that you know, you cannot say you never knew. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know. You can never say I did not know. Now you know. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit on it for a whole year and then find out at the end of the year how much you lost? Find out at the end, at the exit interview, why that person is leaving? When I'm pointing the gaps right now, When I'm here to say I will help you find that gap and close that gap, what is holding you back? What is holding you back? Why would you want to sit on this information? So, what it costs to leave this sitting or for you to sit on this? Every month it sits on a dress, the gap between what people are capable of and what they are actually producing grows wider. Ooh, that is such a big fact. The gap between what people are capable of and what they actually are producing grows wider. Find the disconnection, find that disconnection, and let's bridge it. Find that disconnection, let's bridge it. The people who leave take institutional knowledge, relationships, capacity with them. You spend a year training this person and you're going to let them go because you don't want to bridge a gap, a small gap to you, a small gap that will allow your company to excel. Leader, listen to me. It's not always the visible dollars. Once this compounds, you're going to lose more dollars. You think you're saving money by making that decision to not address this gap, but you're actually compounding and the loss is just going to be bigger. If the Gallup poll says last year they lost 110 trillion in productivity, and the study came from 140 countries, then please know that you're compounding that issue at work. Your solution is not working. And what is that solution you're doing right now? You're using right now? Not addressing it, sitting on it, thinking that it's not a big deal. My company is still making profit. Oh, we're saving this much money by not addressing this issue that the employee brought up. And your team is suffering. You think you're being good and you're working more efficiently or not efficiently, faster, because you don't want to take the time to listen to this other employee at your workplace, in your team. That team dynamic might seem like it's working, but in the long run, you're compounding something that will explode and really cost your team a lot more than you think. So every month it sits on a dress, the gap between what people are capable of and what they are actually producing grows wider. The people who leave take institutional knowledge, relationships, and capacity with them. The people who stay but have checked out are more often are checked out are often more costly than the ones who left before the output stops, but the salary continues. You're paying somebody that have checked out. Personally, when I check out, I leave because I don't know how to not give you my 100%. I don't know how to not give the company everything I've got. I don't know how to not help you as an individual be the best version of yourself. And if I'm failing at that, then I leave. Then I leave because there have to be somebody out there that can allow you, can help you be the best version of yourself. There have to be somebody that can work for your company and be the best version of themselves for your company. it makes no sense for me to sit in your company and not be the best version of myself. I don't have that. I don't have that in me. And several people do not have that. That's why they said of the amount of people actively looking for work, at least 57% are ready to leave the company, because several people do not want to sit in a situation where they are not bringing their 100%. They are not giving their full self to the company. They are not bringing their capacities are not leveraged to its maximum. So people leave. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. If I was saying this without the numbers, it would be like, oh, that's Dr. Akumbu's opinion. But these are the numbers. Only 15% are actively looking. So only 15% are actively looking for work, to exit a company that have. So let me read it again. Let's read what Sherm said. Sherm said, of their studies across 19 countries, they found that workers in positive organizational cultures are almost 4 times more likely to stay with their current employees. Among employees who rate their culture positively, only 15% are actively looking for a job. Among those that rate their culture poorly, 57% are actively looking to leave. And over 8 in 10 employees in positive cultures recommend their organizations to others, and in poor cultures, only 4% do. So I'm not just talking. I'm helping you see a gap in your organization that, according to Gallup, is costing your company productivity every year. And in the world economy, productivity cost for last year because of disconnections was estimated at $10 trillion. 10 trillion. And you tell me your company is not part of this? Oh, no, it is. Your company is part of this. So over time, the culture builds around disconnection, making it harder to shift the longer it sits. Remember, I kept asking, why are you sitting on this? Why are you not doing something about it? Why are you not calling me right now as I speak to say, Dr. Akumbu, let's fix this? Over time, the culture builds around disconnection, making it harder for the shift, and the longer it sits. The longer you wait, the harder it is for you to bridge that gap and create connection again. Cultural disconnection does not stay still. It either gets addressed or it gets worse. There is no version where it resolves on its own. No version. Cultural disconnection does not sit still. It doesn't. It either gets addressed or it gets worse. There is no version where it resolves itself. You might think, oh, that issue resolved itself. No, somebody in your company is paying an emotional price for falling in the line that you think is the best line. somebody is paying a mental price, somebody in the team or the organization is maybe providing the support that the other person needs because you as the leader refuse to address it. So it does not sit still. And if nobody does anything, then your culture is going to be grounded in disconnection and not connections that will create the greatest value and leverage all that your employees can bring. Leverage all that you can bring to the team, or leverage all the capacities that your team can bring to that project. Again, why are you setting on this? Why? Do you just love being part of the $10 trillion being lost globally? Please don't. You already know. Fix this. Fix this. I think I've given you all the points that you need to know about this topic today. What I hope that you have taken away from this session are what cultural disconnections actually cause that really appears on the organizational report, or doesn't appear until some organization runs the data and then give it to you in a mass. Why it stays hidden longer than it should, and what leaders are measuring instead. Why the cost grows the longer it sits unaddressed. Why it grows, why it compounds the longer it sits unaddressed. Those are the three things that I really hope I've accomplished today. And if you got this in the middle, I will keep this live on whatever platform you're watching it from, except TikTok, I believe, and Instagram. I'll keep it live for a few days, but it is always going to be available on my YouTube channel for you to watch. To close, the Connection Catalyst Challenge teaches you how to lead across difference with confidence and build teams where people bring their full capacity to the table. The Connection Catalyst Challenge teaches you how to lead across difference with confidence and builds teams where people bring their full capacity to the table. If you want to bring your full capacity to the table, please reach out, link in the bio. If you want to bring your full capacity to the team, reach out. If you want to bring your full capacity as a leader, if you want to bridge the gap as a leader, the gap that we've discussed today, the disconnections that we've discussed today, do not hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help you. I hope this video has helped you, but going deeper will help you. Do not sit on this any longer. Do not sit on this. If you are not part of a team, what is the disconnection in your life? What is it? Are you struggling interacting with people from different cultures? Are you struggling interacting with people that have different perspectives than you? We live in a very polarized world today. Are you seeking a middle ground? Are you seeking to bridge gaps? This also is for you. You can reach out to. But if you are in a company and your company is losing millions in hidden costs from disconnections, please, this is the time to address it. Don't wait for it to compound. Don't wait for it to compound. Don't wait for next year's statistics to figure out how to solve this problem and bridge these gaps. I hope you learned something today. It is my pleasure and honor to always bring you value, give you information that helps you be a better version of yourself, help your company be the better version of themselves, and allow you to thrive in your full capacity. Until next time, hopefully I will see you on Thursday. If all goes well, I will have another live on Thursday. If all goes well, maybe I will show up every day. But for now, tentatively scheduled for Thursday between 9 and 10:30. But I think 10:30 again next on Thursday. That is my tentative schedule for now. If you don't know when I'm going live, or you come on and you don't find me, watch out for the video or reach out to me to let me know that you came on and I wasn't there. But if I don't show up, I will definitely leave a message on my Facebook page so you know that why I did not show up. All right. It is always an honor to serve you. I look forward to you reaching out so we can help you close those disconnections, bridge those gaps, cultural disconnections and cultural gaps in particular. All right. Ciao. Blessings. Ubuntu. I am here because you are.